You did everything they said, hustled, sacrificed, achieved. But somehow, success still feels hollow. You're constantly surrounded by noise, but inside, it's quiet, too quiet. And if you've ever asked, is this all there is? You're not broken. You're beginning to wake up. Awareness doesn't strike like lightning. It creeps in like a question you can't unhear. For me, it came one evening after closing the biggest deal of my career. On paper, I had it all. But instead of feeling proud, I felt numb. I stared at the ceiling, wondering why it didn't feel like I thought it would. That's when I realized I wasn't chasing success. I was chasing permission to feel like I mattered. We live in a world that teaches us to measure ourselves in metrics, but real growth begins the moment we stop outsourcing our worth to achievements. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Success comes to those who become success conscious." That line hit different when I read it again, years later. It's not about becoming obsessed with results. It's about becoming aware of who you truly are and what success means to you, not the world. Clarity is what changed everything, because without clarity, ambition becomes addiction. We chase goals we never defined, live by scripts we didn't write, and wonder why we feel lost. I started asking better questions. Who am I when no one's watching? What does my version of success feel like, not just look like? If I removed the noise, what would remain? And in that space, I found something deeper, purpose. Not the grand, world-changing mission they put in leadership books, but something raw and real. Purpose as in, why does it matter that I'm here? The answer didn't come in one moment. It came in whispers, in late-night journaling, in long walks, in uncomfortable silence. And what surprised me was this. I didn't need more strategy. I needed more honesty. Because the problem wasn't my plan. The problem was my alignment. I had trained myself to perform, to deliver, but I had forgotten how to listen to myself. And that's where self-discipline entered, not as punishment, but as devotion. Devotion to the truth I kept avoiding. Self-discipline, I realized, isn't about forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself from distraction, from approval addiction, from noise. It's the act of choosing your true path over your trained path. That's what clarity gave me, not a map, a mirror. And when I finally looked into it, I saw someone worth fighting for. It's easy to drown in the world's expectations, but awareness is the rebellion. It's the act of remembering. Remembering that you are not your titles, not your trophies, not your timeline. You are the awareness behind it all, the one who chooses. And right now, you get to choose again. So if you feel like your life is full, but your heart is empty, you're not alone. If you feel like you've been climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall, you're not crazy. You're waking up. And that's the beginning of everything. Because once you see the pattern, you can shift it. You can rewrite the meaning of success. You can reclaim self-discipline as sacred. You can find purpose in the quiet. And from that place, clarity doesn't just guide you, it grounds you. So start there, with the questions, with the honesty, with the courage to pause long enough to feel what's real. The next chapter doesn't require you to become someone else. It asks you to return to who you really are. And that, more than any goal, is the success that lasts. I remember writing one night, maybe I'm not lost. Maybe I'm just done pretending. That was the first honest sentence I'd written in months. Awareness gave me the courage to slow down without shame. It helped me see that ambition without direction is just motion sickness. It reminded me that chasing external success will never fill an internal gap. And in that clarity, I started making decisions not from fear, but from integrity. I said no to good things so I could say yes to the right things. I stopped managing perceptions and started nurturing truth. And slowly, the noise faded, the pressure lifted. What remained was simple but sacred: presence, purpose. That's the gift of awareness. It doesn't always fix what's broken, but it reveals what was never broken to begin with. So if you're here, still searching, still reaching, still unsure, stay with it. Because this discomfort, it's not your failure, it's your awakening. Self-discipline gave me the structure to choose truth over trends. Self-discipline, you've set goals, but they don't wake you up anymore. The life you're living wasn't supposed to be this small. Maybe you haven't failed. Maybe your goals were never big enough. We often think we're unmotivated, but what if it's not laziness? It's misalignment. There was a time when I thought I was broken. Every time I tried to set goals, they felt forced. Achievements didn't move me. I was doing what I was supposed to do, but none of it felt like mine. And I realized I wasn't failing. I was aiming too low. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But belief doesn't grow in small soil. It needs space. It needs vision. That's when it hit me. The problem wasn't discipline or drive. It was the size of my goal. I had been setting goals that kept me safe, not goals that could shape me. Big dreams scare us. They feel like mountains, too far, too steep. But Hill's wisdom reminded me, fear isn't a red light, it's a signpost. If it doesn't scare you, it won't change you. So I leaned in. I let the discomfort guide me. I started rewriting the blueprint, not just of my plans, but of my identity. This was more than goal setting. It was a full identity shift. Because to reach a new level, you have to become someone new. That's the part we avoid. Not the work, but the becoming. And that's why mindset matters. Master your mindset, and you master the direction of your life. Without it, even the best strategies collapse. I started with one habit, visualization. Not daydreaming, but active rehearsal. I saw myself in the room, at the table, owning the moment. Every day, 5 minutes of stepping into the version of me who already lived the life I was building. It felt strange at first, like wearing clothes too big, but over time, it fit. Daily discipline became the thread that held it all together. Getting up early, saying no to distractions, choosing action over anxiety. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Every action built belief. And belief? That's self-fueled energy. That's self-belief, the root of personal growth. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I began to take massive action. Cold emails, bold pitches, honest conversations, even when my voice shook. And guess what? The fear didn't leave, but my identity caught up to my ambition. Relentless execution doesn't mean perfection. It means consistency. It means doing it again when no one claps, when it's just you and the dream. But I didn't do it alone. I learned to surround myself with excellence. People who didn't flinch at the sound of big vision. Who didn't say be realistic, but said, let's go. That changed everything. So if you feel numb or like your life isn't matching your potential, it's not because you're ungrateful. It's because you've outgrown your current level. It's time to stretch. What would it look like to live the life that scares you a little? What would change if you trusted your discomfort instead of resisting it? Start there, not with a 10-year plan, but with one bold step today. Something small but real. One act of self-trust. Let it feel awkward. Let it feel scary. Because that's not weakness. That's proof you're on the edge of growth. And if some part of this echoed in you, if you felt seen for a moment, then maybe that's your next signal. Write it down. Move toward it. And if you do, quietly, bravely, imperfectly, know this. You're not alone. That's how we grow. That's how we rise. That's how the mountain moves. And remember this. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to say this isn't it, even if it once was. You're allowed to outgrow what used to fit. Growth is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck. So choose your discomfort. Let it shape you, not shame you. Because at the end of the day, the life you build is only as big as the belief you hold. And belief? That's something you get to grow, one brave step at a time. And from this moment forward, nothing stays the same because you decided to begin. Self-belief is the root of personal growth. Surround with excellence and you rise by default. You kept showing up, you kept pushing, but the needle didn't move. And now you're wondering if all this effort was just noise. But maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end. Maybe it's the friction before the breakthrough. Motivation is tricky. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it disappears. We chase it like it's the key. But what if it's not something you wait for? What if it's something you build? Let me tell you about a moment that nearly broke me. There was a time I had done everything right. Read the books, followed the steps, executed the plan. And yet, nothing. No growth, no breakthrough, just silence. I remember sitting on my floor one night, staring at a spreadsheet I'd poured months into. No one had seen it. No one had cared. I thought, what's the point? But right before I shut it all down, I remembered a line from Napoleon Hill. Effort only fully releases its reward after a person refuses to quit. That line didn't pump me up. It grounded me. I realized I had been measuring progress in applause, not alignment. And in that silence, I asked a different question. What would I do if no one ever clapped? That's when I found something deeper than motivation. I found a reason. It wasn't about pushing harder. It was about connecting deeper with my purpose, with my story, with the people I could serve if I just stayed the course. From that moment, things didn't magically get easier, but they got clearer. Because clarity doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sits quietly behind the chaos, waiting for us to stop reacting and start listening. That's the power of motivational resilience. It's not just hype, it's your ability to return, to keep showing up, even when the path disappears. I began anchoring my energy in small wins. One paragraph written, one connection made, one hard conversation had. And each of those moments built something stronger than momentum. They built belief. Self-belief is a decision you renew daily. And yes, some days it feels like a lie, but the act of choosing it again, that's how it becomes true. I started replacing the question, am I good enough, with what would someone brave do next? And that one shift rewired everything. Because motivation, at its core, isn't about energy. It's about identity. When you start to believe, I'm the kind of person who shows up, motivation doesn't need to yell. It walks beside you. Here's the truth most people won't say. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel like your effort is working. But those who win long-term aren't the most inspired. They're the most consistent. Motivation comes after motion. So take the step, even when your legs shake. Take the step when your inbox is empty. Take the step when no one replies. Take the step when even you doubt it'll work. Because one day it will work. And when it does, it won't be because of one big leap. It'll be because of the 100 quiet steps you took when no one was watching. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it yours. So today, if you're tired, pause. But don't retreat. Rest is not quitting. Doubt is not failure. You're allowed to feel both and still move forward. And maybe today isn't about leaping. Maybe it's about one brave inch in the direction of your truth. Because the spark you're waiting for, it's already in you. And if you need a sign, this is it. You've made it through every hard day before this, and you're still here, still reaching, still believing. That's more than enough. That's how momentum starts. That's how transformation begins. And that's exactly why you're ready. The next chapter of your life isn't waiting on more talent, more tools, or more timing. It's waiting on your courage. It's waiting on the moment you decide to stop outsourcing your power to perfection. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing. Willing to look foolish. Willing to take up space. Willing to try again. Because transformation doesn't arrive with trumpets. It walks in quietly, disguised as a small decision. And when you make that decision, today, now, in this moment, you're not starting over. You're starting forward. Self-belief is everything. Self-belief turns motion into meaning. You knew it would be hard, but not this hard. You've outgrown your current life, but the next version still feels out of reach. And yet, deep down, something in you won't let go of what's possible. Growth isn't a straight line. It's a series of identity collapses and quiet rebuilds. There are moments when you question everything, not because you're weak, but because you're evolving. The version of you that once fit doesn't anymore. And that discomfort, it's the invitation. We often think the next level of our life is unlocked by more skills, better plans, sharper strategies. But most of the time, it begins with one thing, a shift in belief. Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But most people never get to the belief part. They stay stuck in preparation, not transformation, because transformation feels like dying. And in some ways, it is. The death of the identity you've clung to, the letting go of what kept you safe. But that's the price of freedom. You don't rise by chasing perfection. You rise by choosing progress over and over when no one's watching. It's not about giant leaps. It's about tiny revolutions. Moments of courage stacked on top of ordinary days. I've learned that daily discipline is what turns chaos into clarity. It doesn't have to be loud. 5 minutes of intention, one hard decision made, one powerful no. Every act of discipline is a vote for your future self. Visualization helps too. Not fantasy, but mental rehearsal. Seeing yourself already living the version of life you want, because your brain needs a template before it creates a reality. Self-belief is not some fluffy concept. It's the internal contract you sign every day. The voice that says, even if no one else sees it yet, I will act as if it's already real. The key isn't to feel ready. The key is to move, ready or not. And you'll hear the doubt. You'll feel the friction. But that's the proof you're in motion. You want change? You want a new chapter? Then take massive action. Stop negotiating with fear. Stop outsourcing your value. Start doing the things that scare you, not recklessly, but bravely, and surround with excellence. That means curating your space, your people, your inputs, your energy. You rise faster when you're not doing it alone, because purpose isn't found, it's forged in repetition, in resilience, in the refusal to quit, and relentless execution. That's what makes the abstract real. So ask yourself, who am I becoming through this process? If the answer excites you, keep going. If the answer scares you, keep going. If the answer breaks your heart a little, definitely keep going, because growth hurts before it heals. That's not a problem. That's a sign you're alive. And maybe this isn't about building a perfect life. Maybe it's about becoming a person you're proud of. On the quiet days, on the messy days, on the in-between days. The truth is, you don't need to be fixed. You just need to be reminded. Reminded that your pace is your power. Reminded that your story still matters. Reminded that belief is a practice, not a trait. So if you've been doubting, delaying, dimming your own potential, this is your moment to shift. Not because everything's ready, but because you are. This is what we explore every day here at Mindset Mastery Hub. We don't do hype, we do honesty. We don't wait for clarity, we create it. And if this stirred something in you, let that be the reason you keep going, because you're not broken, you're breaking through. It's the pause before the call, the step into the unknown, the quiet agreement with your future self. Take massive action, not just once, but often, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when it's hard. Courage isn't loud. Most of the time, it's a whisper that says, try again. You'll feel resistance. That's good. Resistance is your edge, the place where comfort ends and possibility begins. And surround with excellence, not just people, but habits, inputs, energy. You become what you repeat, and what surrounds you defines what's repeated. Purpose doesn't show up in a flash of lightning. It grows slowly, moment by moment, day by day, in the places no one claps. And relentless execution? That's what builds the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming.